Hey, this is Tony Ross for CreativeCow.net, and this is the third and final part to our Rainy Cityscape. When we last left off, we did not have a foreground, but I've added one in, and if you've been following along, I used the X offset of 2200. And if you have no idea what I just said, please check out the first two parts of this little tutorial. Okay, so we got this going. We're going to add some rain to it, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get out of here and jump over to a program called Photoshop. Okay, I'm going to make a new document, Command N, and that's Control N on PC. 550 by 400, 72 pixels, and RGB 8-bit, transparent. Sounds good. All right, now I'm going to make sure I've got everything set up to my default settings. So this little guy right here, just click and make sure you have black foreground, white background. And what I'm going to do is automatically fill this area with my foreground by holding down Option and hitting Delete. That's Alt Backspace on PC. Then I'm going to duplicate this via copy. Let's say duplicate this layer. So I'm going to do Command J. That's Control J on PC. And I'm going to go to a filter. Let's go to noise, and I'm going to add noise. Okay, I've got mine set at 32. Gaussian, tomato, monochromatic, and let's click on OK. Let's go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's happening here. Command plus. All right. So what I'm going to do is slide this little guy over until it thins out a bit, just until I'm happy with the results. What I'm looking for is each one of these dots will eventually end up being a raindrop. Okay, so that's about pretty decent. I'm going to click on OK. And next, magic wand, going to click in any section that's just black. Okay, after that, I'm going to go to Select. Let's go to Similar. So it selects everything on this layer that's black, and I want to delete all of this. So I'm simply going to press Delete, backspace on PC, and let's deselect this. Command D, Control D on PC. All right, so if you look at this little layer icon over here, there's no more black on this layer. The reason we can see black is the layer beneath it. Okay, now making sure I'm on the right layer, I want to go to Filter, come down to Blur, and what I want to do is motion blur. Okay, and if you can see, these stretched out pretty decent. I've got this at 90 degrees, and I like using around 18 pixels. Okay, there's before, add a little more, and 18 works for me. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and duplicate this layer. Command J, Control J on PC, and if you note, we've got it coming in pretty decent there. And what I'm going to do now is turn off my background here. And let's go to File, Save for Web and Devices. If you're using earlier versions of Photoshop, it just simply says Save for Web. What we're doing will work in earlier versions. So let's do GIF. No, not GIF. I'll do a PNG 24. And I definitely want transparency. Okay. So then I'm going to go Save, and I simply want to call this rain.png, and I'm just going to save. And next I want to do File, Save for Web and Devices again. This time I'm going to save this out as a GIF. Now this is going to be a much harsher looking rain. This is like kind of almost like a graphic novel, hard black and white type rain. So I'm going to set this just to 2 colors, no dithering, definitely have transparency, so it's just got white and transparent. So let's save, and this is going to be rain.gif. Okay, now let's get back over to Flash. So what I'm going to do is lock my little foreground layer here. Let's enter a new layer, and this layer is going to be called Rain. Okay, now what I want to do is go ahead and import that bitmap. So it's Command R, Control R on PC, and I'm going to bring in the rain.png. Okay, now I'm going to scrub back over here so I can see what's happening. Alright, so that's sitting there. So we've got the bitmap already brought in, so I'm going to convert this to a symbol. Simply press F8. Okay, and I'm going to call this rain. Okay. Now, I want to place this symbol inside of another symbol. So the way I'm going to do that is press F8 one more time. Okay. Now I'm going to call this rain underscore ANI. And that's just the thing that I like to do, letting me know that it's going to be animated. Okay. So I've got it as a graphic symbol. Looks good. All right. Now I'm going to double click directly here. This is going to take me into the Rain Annie timeline. Okay, so no longer in scene 1, it says Rain Annie. I'm going to double click one more time, and that way I can go into the Rain's timeline. Double click, and now I'm in the Rain timeline. What I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily add another layer here. Okay, and I'm going to get my rectangle tool here, and I've got little red fill. What I want to do is place a temporary little red box up here, just so you can see what's going to happen. While I'm here, the first layer that actually has a rain, I'm just going to go ahead and call it PNG. Okay, now let's go back one symbol. Let's go to Rain Annie. Now we're inside the symbol. What I want to do is select the second frame and hit F6 to insert a keyframe. Go to modify, transform, and then I want to flip horizontal. Okay, so got that going there. Let's go to the third frame. F6, modify, transform, flip vertical. Okay, so it's kind of like that little dollar bill trick for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't, it's a secret. Okay, now let's do one more F6 keyframe, and I'm going to flip this again. Let's see, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, so we've got this happening each little corner here, and I put the red little dot there just so you can see what we're doing. So we're keeping this in proportion, but we're taking this one little image and flipping it several times, and it's going to give the illusion of it's constantly being animated, and we've only run in one image. So now that we've got that done, let's double click and go into, we're back into our rain here. So I'm going to lock my PNG layer so I don't do anything weird, but click up here, make sure this red guy is selected, and we're going to get rid of it. Simply delete or hit backspace on PC. And what I want to do now is go ahead and import our GIF image, our rain.gif. Since I've already got the animation set up, I can just bring this new guy in. Okay, and make sure that it is going to be set at 0 for X and 0 for Y. Okay, now if you notice, this is like coming through a lot sharper. It's that whole thing of how, like if you're doing like a graphic novel or something like that, or if you want a much sharper type of rain, you'd use this one. So let's go ahead and name this layer GIF. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to guide this layer out, which means it will not be visible because I'm going to use the PNG layer. And if you decide later, hey, you know, I want to use like something that's a little more harsh or a little more graphic novel type, you would unguide this. Guide basically means it's going to be invisible as far as the movie is concerned, and it doesn't add to the file size. Okay, so let's go back to Rain, and let's go all the way back to scene 1, and let's test this out. Command return, Control Enter on PC, and looks kind of decent, but let's really push this a bit. Okay, so let's go here, and on this layer, let's I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Command minus, Control minus on PC. Get my free transform tool, and let's rotate our rain layer. This is why I only left it at 90 when we're in Photoshop, because you can control that here. Okay, now I'm going to hold down my Shift key and then pull this out so all of it's covered. And now let's try it out again. Command return. Okay, so looks pretty good, but what's going to really push our rain is adding sound. So let's do that. All right, going to lock the rain layer, add another layer. I'm going to call this sound. Okay, and let's do an import. If you downloaded it, there is a little rain sound file I've got here. Go to my sound folder. I'm going to bring in my AIF. And there's a wave in case you like using wave instead. So got that there. Now it's already in my library. So what I'm going to do next is simply go to sound down here and go to rain.aif. All right. Now several things. What I want to do is make sure this is set to stream, and let's go to File, Publish Settings, and make sure my stream is set up. It says audio stream. I'm going to click on set. I keep mine set at MP3, 128, and fast. I do not convert stereo to mono, and sound will come up pretty decent actually. So let's click on OK. Now let's test this out again. Command return. Okay, now it's raining. Okay, and it really helps push it. But let's push this even further. We've got some thunder here, so let's add in a little bit of lightning. Okay, so what I want to do next, I'm going to simply select my rain layer and add a new layer. The reason I selected the rain first is I wanted sound to still stay on top. Okay, so let's go to call this FX. Okay. And I'm going to go over to my library and find Mr. Sky. If you remember from the very first part of this tutorial, we actually created the sky, then it's a symbol. So I'm going to drag Mr. Sky over here, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure he's lined up. He's sitting at 0 and 0. And he's normally a graphic, but I can come down here and make him a movie clip. Why? Because with a movie clip, I can have some of the things like blend modes. So I'm going to set it on erase right now. So it's pretty much like it's invisible, and scrub forward a little bit. Right where I first see the thunder starting to happen there, I'm going to drop in a keyframe, F6. And what I want to do is click on Mr. Sky, and let's set that to invert, okay, which does a really creepy job there. Let's click the next frame, enter a keyframe, F6. And what I want to do next is set this to, go ahead and set this to a, set it to multiply. Let's go very dark. Okay. And next, F6. We're going to set our color to brightness and set our blend to normal. Okay. Now, this looks very blue. Let's take our brightness all the way up to 100. So it turns white. Let's go to our next frame, F6. And we're going to take this to none and take our blend mode back to erase. Okay, so what does that look like? All right, I'm going to play this real quick. But before we do, let's duplicate all this because that took a while. I'm going to select that first keyframe, hold down my Shift key, select the last one, hold down Option, click and drag this over just a little bit further down here. And maybe in this one, I will take one of the frames out. I'm going to take the dark frame out. So I'll hold down my Shift key, press F5 to pull that frame out so it doesn't look identical. Okay, so let's test this out. Command return, Control Enter on PC. Okay, got that happening. And here comes some thunder and lightning. Okay. All right, got that. Last but not least, while I've got this effects layer there, I'm going to lock that layer, insert a new layer. What I want to do is mask all of this, so if anyone ever gets this SWF, they're not seeing like exactly how this is put together. So let's double click here and let's do mask. mask. And we're going to bring another instance of Mr. Sky down here. And I like using this because it's already set up to the exact size I need it. And what I want to do is I'm either going to right click or control click here, come down and set this to mask. Okay, now if you look, that only masks the effects layer. Well, how do we get all these other guys under there? Simple. We're going to click here, hold down Shift key, click the bottom one, and click and push this over. So all of these are now masked. And you can tell that it's masked. You can always check this in Flash by clicking on your locked layer. So if it's unlocked, that's what's visible. Locked, that's what's being masked right now. Okay, so let's take another look at this. Okay, so there's our final file. And not too bad, not too shabby, sounds pretty good, looks good. And it's only 240K. So that's pretty much it. So this has been Tony Ross for CreativeCow.net. And remember, keep it simple, keep it perfect. You don't have time to make it perfect. Rethink the idea.